Amak merat ike tesolderat ik merut.
Hey y'all, Dave here. I recently started a series discussing various logical fallacies that I see commonly committed by atheists and skeptics in online spaces. This series is somewhat linked to it. I figured that a series discussing logic itself would probably be a good companion to a series discussing logical fallacies. After all, in many atheist and skeptic online spaces, we often see atheists and skeptics claiming to be supporters of logic and reason and promoters of the use of logic and reason. Yet, there seems to be little in the way of the promotion of logic itself in these spaces. Many will tell others that they should take a Logic 101 class, yet it is also obvious from the arguments that they make that they have never picked up a book or taken a class on logic either. So, for anyone interested, here is a quick series of videos introducing logic. I'll go through terms and ideas and explanations in this series, keeping the videos as short and simple as possible, and we'll start with Modus Ponens. Modus Ponens is an argument form, also known as the Method of Affirming. It is a way of inferring a conclusion from a particular conditional statement. Anyone who is acquainted with programming in most forms will already recognize this kind of conditional statement. In its most basic form, a Modus Ponens argument will take the form if P then Q, P therefore Q. In this form, P and Q represent propositions. I'll do a slightly more in-depth video on propositions in the future, but for now it's enough to know that a proposition is a truth-apt statement, meaning that it is a statement that can be true or false. Let's plug in a couple of propositions into the basic form. Let's plug in the propositions I am running and I am moving, giving us the following argument. If I am running, then I am moving. I am running, therefore I am moving. Returning back to the basic form for just a moment, we can look at the inference being made. The truth of proposition P infers the truth of proposition Q, meaning that if proposition P is true, then proposition Q is true also. In the form where we have plugged data in, the truth of the statement I am running infers the truth of the statement I am moving. After all, one can't be running without also moving. The second premise of the argument affirms the proposition P, or I am running. The conditional if-then statement means that from the proposition I am running, we can infer proposition Q, or I am moving, is also true. This inference to proposition Q, or I am moving, is what makes the syllogism or argument form truth-preserving, and therefore the truth of the conclusion follows. P cannot be true without Q also being true according to the conditional statement. As P is true, so too is Q, making the conclusion of the argument Q. The inference does not follow if we affirm Q in the second premise though. Consider the following basic form. If P then Q, Q therefore P. It would be an error in reasoning to draw the conclusion that I am running from the statement I am moving. The if-then conditional does not preserve the inference the other way around. The simplest way to think of it is the fact that I am moving does not guarantee that I am running. After all, I could be walking, or stood at the sink washing dishes, or even just raising an arse cheek to let out a fart. Premise 1 infers moving from running, not running from moving, meaning that the truth of the conclusion P, or I am running, is not guaranteed by the reasoning, making it an error in reasoning. This error in reasoning is a formal fallacy known as affirming the consequent, something that I will discuss in the logical fallacy series at some point soon. Though, depending on when you see this video, it may already be there. Anyway, that's a brief introduction to the Modus Ponens argument form. It's a means of preserving the truth of a conditional statement through to a conclusion using an if-then statement.